Good morning, YouTube, and it's a okay day.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream. So yeah, I think today's high is going to be about 70 something, and it's like 67 now. It's about 10 in the morning. It's not crazy cold. It's definitely not warm though. I'm still trying to sport the t-shirt and the shorts. We'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully I get moving around here and the sun tries to break out of the clouds, keep me warm. So what am I doing? I got a little box here that stays inside the house, and if you guys didn't see my previous video on this, this is my tongue scale. This is a scale that goes underneath the tongue of the trailer and or the ball of the trailer, which in this case I've got to do the jack stand, and I've got to do some calculations. Wonder if those calculations are going to be right. That's a thought I never really thought about. Let's see what I can do here and figure it out. So I'm going to try to say this as fast as possible without confusing you guys and confusing myself for that matter. The trailer, whenever we picked it up at the factory, or whenever we picked it up at the dealer, before they added a battery to it, and I believe before they added the propane tanks to it, the tongue weight was 782 pounds. That is about 12% of what the RV weighed empty, without anything in it. 12% is what they like to run them at least for Rockwood. Now, if this thing was fully loaded and we were at 8,800 pounds, I think that you're only talking about 975 pounds is the 12% tongue weight. Well, I'm well over that right now, and this RV's not even fully loaded. Right now I have 15 gallons roughly of fresh water, nothing in the black or gray, and that freshwater tank, as the black and the gray is too, they're all forward of the axle, so anything I put in the front is going to add tongue weight. You know, the further back it is, the less it's going to affect things, but nonetheless it's tongue weight. I have two batteries on the tongue now, and the propane tanks, I know I have one 30-pound full and one 30-pound, probably about half. Then we add the ProPride hitch. Let's flip you around. I already moved the slides in. I've already pulled up the steps. I've pulled up the rear stabilizers, and these stabilizers are just hovering here for safety. The one thing with the hitch, the scale, and I'm going to put a link down below for this. I did a video on this prior. If you guys haven't checked that out, go check out the video on why tongue weight is important, because it's important, trust me. I have to place this scale underneath the ProPride hitch because that's weight. I can't do it off the ball because you have weight forward. I can't do it off of the jack, even though the instructions say you can, because the instructions are assuming that you don't have a ProPride hitch. And whenever you do the percentage calculation that they say in the instructions, from this point to this point, there's hardly any metal, you know, on a normal RV, and they can calculate the difference of that little bit of metal and the distance in a percentage to be added to get a reading. Well, you can see, look at how far out I am, and this is a lot of metal compared to this little bit of metal here. So that's going to change too. So right now as it stands, the tongue weight on this is up there. Let me go ahead and show you. Okay, I'm definitely taking weight off of the tongue jack now. Ooh, this is close. Well, that's not as bad as I thought. Yeah. All right, I'm going to show you the scale real quick here. Yeah, I don't know if you can read that, but that inside number, that's kilograms. The outside number, which you can barely see, let's try to do it from this angle, is over 1,000 pounds. It's 1,050 pounds to be exact, and I'm definitely off. Just to let you see this here. See, the jack is off. Yep, I said jack and off. I'm 1,050 pounds. So right away, if you guys start doing the math in your head, that's a lot of weight on the tongue, considering I do have a lot of stuff in the cargo area, you know, chairs and, you know, my cable containers, these blocks of wood, these pads, all these cables here. This is our gray water tote. This is our freshwater tote. There's 2 more totes that has some stuff in there. Those 2 chairs on that side. We have a small trash can on the other side, and we have a grill. Not a lot of weight, but added to the fact that we have 2 lead acid batteries out here on the tongue, and again, those tanks with some stuff on there. You're probably thinking, wow, 1,100 pounds, you got a lot of weight. Well, I do have a lot of tongue weight, but we kind of got to throw it out the window to some extent, because I also have extra length as far as forward length. So even though it's coming out to be 1,100 pounds, the leverage in which I'm carrying that weight, especially going back to the axle, is different, because the back of the truck, even though it's squatting because of all this extra weight, the back of the truck is now given the mechanical advantage of extra length. So I don't know if this is going to make sense to you. I got these piece of wood here. Maybe this will make sense. So this is some really remedial science here, but hopefully it makes sense to you. Let's just say that this piece of wood is our trailer, and our trailer's looking sad, isn't it? Look how destroyed it is, and it's all wood. But let's say this is the RV, and the blocks of wood that are halfway or a little bit less than halfway back on this, that's the axle. Let's say those are the 2 tires and the axles that supports the RV. Whenever I had, you know, the regular ball hitch without that extra length on here, I was lifting the trailer and supporting it with the back of the truck here. You can see that's what it looked like, and the amount of force that I'm exerting here, you know, that's a decent amount. But now that I added extra weight on the front, I'm also adding extra length, and this extra length is giving me a mechanical advantage, making it easier for me to lift or hold up the trailer. And that's what that is. Just imagine you're trying to lift this trailer. You're trying to lift it by the tongue, and each one of you grab the you know, a side here, and you lift. It's going to be extremely difficult. It can be done. I mean, you'd have to be able to lift 500 pounds each, but it could be done. You know, there's people out there who could do that. I'm not one of them. However, if I was to take and put a bar inside that hitch, and I extended it way out to here, let's say way out here, and we tried to lift it, the mechanical advantage is so much greater there that you could do that. Honestly, I think I could do that if I had another person just like me, and we put something, a stinger in there that went out that distance. You know, that bar does have weight, but the mechanical advantage of lifting is up there. I mean, it helps considerably. So although I've got 1,000 pounds here, I do have a greater mechanical advantage that's lifting the 1,000-pound tongue and helping out with pulling the RV down the road. I'm glad that I have those 1,400-pound weight distribution bars, so that really helps out. But you could see why the truck has squatted to some extent. And the fact that I've got, you know, another 100 pounds of rock shield and stinger that goes in there, you know, that's going to add some weight too, and that's going to make a difference. But for the most part, this is right in line with what I thought. And if I had the ability, if it wasn't Saturday, and if tomorrow wasn't Sunday, and if I didn't have an appointment with my truck on Monday to get some work done, I would go up to the feed mill and I'd find out what all this stuff weighs. But I do want to do that. So before we leave on our trip and we're fully loaded with everything, I think at that point I might make a little trip up to the feed mill and get a measurement, a weight measurement of the truck and trailer combined together. And then someday on my own, I'll go up and just weigh the truck. Now, I'm kind of encouraged, and I know this is going to be kind of hard for you to understand, but I'm kind of encouraged about the extra weight that's on the front here. Why? Well, that's because eventually we want to add a cargo carrier to the back of this RV and be able to mount, a generator in that extended gas tank. The extra metal that's going to be involved, pulling off this bumper, extending it out, and make this come out maybe about a foot or so, a little bit over a foot, maybe about 15 inches. That's going to add a lot of weight because I want it to be strong enough to carry a decent amount of weight back here. The amount of weight that I add back here is going to be a counter lever, or make the axle a counter lever to remove some of the weight off the tongue. So having a little bit of extra tongue weight isn't a big deal because I'll be adding stuff back here, because if anything, you want a little bit more tongue weight than a little bit less. They recommend 9 to 15%. Like I said, this one from the factory is about 12%. Currently now it's about 15%. And just adding, a couple hundred pounds back here would probably make it to where it would drop it to a 12% range again. It's one of those things that it's a work in progress. I know what you guys are saying. Man, I can't believe you're messing around with that stuff again. Yeah, I know. But you definitely have to be aware of what your vehicle is, what it can do, how much things weigh. I mean, you got to be conscious of all this stuff for safe towing. I see a lot of people that go down the road, and just the other day I saw one. I almost captured it on film for you guys. I was that close. This guy had a half-ton Silverado that was from the mid-90s. It was probably about a 96. And I could tell he had a 350 Chevy engine in there. Extended cab, four-wheel drive, pulling a fifth wheel, an older fifth wheel. And that thing was squatted, and he was just flogging it up, even to get up this little tiny hill that we have out front here. And, I see a lot of that. I mean, we sit on the porch here and we watch cars go by, especially on the weekends, with trailers and that. And it's like, yep, that one's too high, that one's too low, that's definitely too big. My favorite is the guys that have the big lifted trucks and they don't even bother to get a drop hitch. And they just hook up their trailer and their RV's going down the road. Basically, the front axle's hardly got any weight on it at all. So you got to be conscious of all that stuff. And that's kind of what I want to bring to your attention. But yeah, I just want to tell you what the tongue weight was. You guys can use that information for whatever it's worth. Again, the link will be down below for this scale. Go see my previous video when I measured our old RV and watch how I screwed around with the tongue weight just by getting in the RV. I mean, it was pretty effective learning how easy it would be to make the tongue too light. And when you do that, you get the thing likes to wobble back and forth, and it's just a nightmare. So let me go ahead and put all this stuff away because the rain's kind of trying to happen here, but it's only 20%. I got a couple sprinkles on me, but that's it. I can't wait though. We're going on this trip.